Welcome to this webinar about the tips and tricks of Openprovider. This webinar was inspired by a series of blog posts that was written. And that series of blog posts in turn was inspired by people, mainly colleagues. They knew a lot of tips and tricks in Openprovider, but found that customers couldn't find them or didn't know them. And it can be very trivial ones, like the reseller in the whois or the usage of Nameserver groups. That's the reason why we sent out internally an email to collect all kinds of tips and tricks that customers should know, or at least if they know them, they can benefit from it. And 2 of those blogs have already been posted. The 3rd one will follow probably this or next month. So the introduction we just did. I have collected them in 4 main areas: domain management, SSL certificates, account management, and the rest. If we're talking about domain management, the first topic, a very trivial one might be finding domain names. As you all know, in the domain management section, you can search on domain name. You can search on the extension, for example, get all your .com domains, and you can go to a certain page or sort an expiration date or status of owner, those kind of things. But if you want to search deeper, for example, which domains are registered under customer 1, how do you do so? That's the extended search, a very small link on top of it. And that allows you to search for contacts, search on Nameserver group, which domains are linked to Nameserver X, status of domains, even comments. If you have 2 customers and customer 1 has always a certain comment in the domain name, customer 2 the other comment, you can easily find all domains of customer 1 by searching on comment. You can even search for deleted domains. A domain that was transferred out or deleted or expired, you can find what the previous settings were. And if you want to have all freedom in searching, on the bottom, I don't have a screenshot of it, there is a small link, download CSV list. There you can open it in your spreadsheet application and just press Ctrl F to find. I have 2 or 3 small screencasts in this webinar, and I want to show the first one about the extended search. And you see that you can search on the customer just like you do when registering the domain name. You can search your comments, search for Nameserver groups. The status, like I just said. We can search on deleted domains or non-deleted domains, and of course, still on the domain name itself. And this is a hidden trick, maybe. You can, in the domain name field itself, you can also type the extension. You don't have to choose it from the drop-down list. And a couple of people appeared not to know that. So if you just want to search on abc.nl, type it in without scrolling down to NL in the list. In the list of extensions. This about finding domains. You will see that this webinar jumps a bit from topic 1 to topic 2, and I think we cannot avoid that because it's so many different topics. So from domain searching, we are now moving to the reseller in the whois. And this .nl registry supports an additional entry in the whois output. Not only the registrar, which is registrar.eu in our case, but also a reseller that you can choose yourself can be displayed. In this case, it's Openprovider, but your company as well. It can be your customer's company. So that means if your customer wants to be in the whois, but is not the owner of a domain name, he can do it this way. There is additional exposure on his name. And to be honest, for us, it's useful as well because people go to the reseller first and then to the registrar, and with our number of domains, I think that's a good idea. You can configure the reseller for each domain itself. It's in the edit domain section. Just one note between, on many sheets you will see small italic text, like here, domain management, find domain, view, edit. That is the trace you have to do if you want to find this tip or trick yourself. So find the domain name, view it, choose the edit button, and then you can add or change or remove the reseller contact. That's per domain, but maybe you want to do it for all domains at once. That's easy. In your account settings, there is a section default domain contacts, and that allows you to set default reseller handle. Text is pretty small, but below this, the selection of non-existing or new customer, there's a small checkbox that allows you to update all domains that currently do not have a reseller contact. So if you currently have 500 .nl domains, you want your company as the reseller for all those domains, just type it in here, check the update all button and press save. At the background, the system will update all your domains while you continue working in Openprovider. Not only the reseller contact is a contact which can be used in many domain registrations, there is also a billing handle. For example, .com, yes, many generic top-level domains like .net, .info, and all the new ones know a billing handle. And the name may be a bit confusing. It's not directly the person that pays to us, to the registrar. It's the contact that is the end responsible for the payment. So your customer as well. Just like the reseller handle, put it in here. Here is no update all button, but choose an existing or a new customer. And from then on, every domain that you register that requires a billing handle will have this value entered by default. You can always change it to another contact for a certain domain, but by default, this one will be chosen. Also related to domain names is the concept of Nameserver groups. And this is an idea that we discovered at the DNS Belgium registry, .be. They have it since the beginning of time. And it means that each domain has a set of nameservers, ns1.openprovider, ns2.openprovider. And you might have 1,000 domains, but what if you want to add ns3.openprovider to it? Do you want to update all domains? All 1,000 domains? That is why we implemented nameserver groups. It means, and you can find it in the DNS management section, it means that you have a group of nameservers that is linked to all domains that should have those nameservers. Instead of changing all domains at once, if you want to update and add a third nameserver, replace one, remove one, just do it at one place, and all domains will be updated in the background. So you can continue working in our system. When everything is finished, you will get an email with the results, whether succeeded or failed. And from that moment on, all your domains will have NS3 as an additional name server. Moving to a different direction, white labeling, email personalization. I think we called the blog post the hidden tips and tricks. This one is not really hidden. We have communicated a lot about it because we are proud of it. This means the white labeling, you all know, for all generic top-level domains like .com, .club, .info, we are required to send a lot of emails for transfers, for expiration, who is data reminder, everything. We can do so. We must do so. If we do it as most registrars do, we would send an English, maybe Dutch, and in our case Spanish email, standard text, maybe our name on it, maybe your name on it. No real freedom in layout and content. The white labeling tools of Openprovider allow you to completely format and completely rewrite or style those emails. That's still language. That is, every customer can have a different language. So if you have a Chinese customer and Openprovider doesn't support Chinese, just put Chinese in there. Every customer can have, or every group of customers can have a different template. Very useful if you work with resellers or different brands. Brand 1 has template 1, brand 2 has template 2. And of course, you can send it using your own name. You can let people click to a link to your own website, not the Openprovider or registrar.eu website, but your own website. This all ensures that your customer experiences your business, not ours, or not a neutral one. It's all your styling. I won't go through all details here. This was just a quick summary. But like I said, we wrote and we talked a lot about it. You can find a blog post, you can find a previous webinar on our YouTube channel. If you want to configure it, languages and templates can be added to a customer in the customer management, and the template and content itself can be created in the settings menu. A pretty recent addition to our control panel is the bulk operations. If you manage a lot of domains, you know that sometimes you need to change a lot of things. Nameservers can be easy, we just discussed that. But if you want to update the administrative contact of a domain, of 10 domains, of 100 domains, do you want to do it all one by one? That's why we have developed a bulk update and a bulk transfer tool. More features will come, but this is the current release. You can find it in the domain management menu. It works pretty obvious. You enter a list of domain names, which should be in your account for a modification, and of course should be at another registrar for a transfer. The next step is that you, in this modification example, tell the system, tell Openprovider what has to be changed. In this example, I changed the domain holder and the author news status, but you see you can change a lot more things. You see in here the bulk transfer option could be useful for a couple of transfers. If you really have a full portfolio to transfer, know that Openprovider is really experienced in that over the past years. I think we may have done at least 300, 400, 500 portfolio takeovers of all different registries. .nl, most of them obvious, but .eu, .be, .fr, from a lot of different registrars. Tucows, OpenSRS, ASCII, Enom, many of them. And in most cases, a complete portfolio takeover could be as easy as just one form or a couple of forms. If you want to know more about it, send an email to sales@openprovider.com and they all can tell you everything about it. Then I have two last tips on the domain management regarding new GTLDs. First one is sorting your pre-registrations. Normally our system works first come, first served. If you pre-register domain A.whatever TLD today and tomorrow domain 2, then domain 1 will be sent to the registry first at the moment the general availability opens, and domain 2 second. But what if domain 2 is a wonderful domain name that probably has a lot of competition from other people, from other registrars? That it might be useful to put it on the top of the queue. And that is what you can do in the pre-registration ordering screens. You can select the GA which is upcoming and very easily drag and drop the ones that you want to change. Office.store is an important one, put it on top. Or maybe shoe.store is even more important for you. You can order it however you want. If you have more domains, you don't have to click and drag everyone separately. You can download the CSV file, reorder it like you want, and upload it again. Second tip about the new GTLDs. I think the uptake of it is pretty high. A lot of our customers already register new GTLDs, but many of you don't do so yet. Maybe because you are not sure if your customers want to have it. Then it's good to know that we have a pre-registration widget. With just a single line of code, you can add a widget in your website. And again, you can of course style it or translate it to your own language. It is linked directly to Openprovider. The line of code is the widget code that you see on top here. And the CSS you can change to match your own style. Two examples, the basic Openprovider style and one that is restyled in a blue layout. And you can change a lot of things. You can add a different logo, you can add colors, fonts, everything you want. The good thing about this is that it's just a two-step form. The customer fills in a domain name or a couple of domain names, checks the extensions that he wants to have, Next screen, he can enter his data. It is not even required to do so, and the pre-registrations are sent to Openprovider. Don't be afraid that this costs you a lot of money. Everything is free of charge until the moment we log the pre-registrations. So this is a great tool to check what the interest of your customers is without spending time on it. If you get 1,000 pre-registrations in the first week, you know you missed a lot of opportunities over the past 2 years. And if it doesn't turn out to be successful, you didn't spend any time on it. So I would say a win-win situation. I'm moving to the SSL section now. Although SSL is becoming much more mainstream now, it still might be difficult to advise your customer which certificate to choose, because there are many and they all seem similar to each other. There are differences in DV, OV, EV, there are different names, Komodo, Geotor, Symantec, different technical specs like SGC and like wildcard. What to do? Maybe it's clear to you, but not to your customers. Your customers call you every day what certificate to choose. That's why we have developed a wizard to guide the user through a couple of questions that leads to an honest advice for a certificate to that suits his needs. And an honest advice, I mean, we do not always suggest the most expensive one or the one that makes most margin for us. It's an honest advice. If you have a small website, we can advise just a DV certificate of $5. It's 7 questions, just multiple choice questions. Every question has an explanation next to it, and in the end, you will see our primary advice and alternatives. If you want to know a certificate, just go to the control panel, the menu certificates and SSL wizard, but you can also integrate it on your own website. And again, you can style it, you can translate it, you can do everything you want. You can even select only the certificate that you want to provide to your customer. You can increase the importance of certain metrics, like if you want to push EV a bit more, make EV a higher weight in the end calculation. If you want to do that on your own website, go to our knowledge base. You can download a simple zip file. It's JavaScript and HTML, and you can, with basic knowledge of those languages, you can integrate it on your own website. The most simple form of SSL is domain validation, DV. And the great thing of it is it's cheap and it's fast. The normal procedure is that you order the certificate and the provider, the CA, Certificate Authority, sends an email to one of the domain contacts. That email is confirmed by clicking a link and the certificate is delivered. But customers that order a lot of certificates know that in many cases email is not read, email is ignored because it's English and it looks a bit strange. The email address is not working. All reasons why the process can be delayed from a few minutes to days and days of frustration. It's good to know that you can also validate those certificate types either by a CNAME record in the DNS, in a name service of a domain name, or just by putting a simple file in the root of the domain to secure. Currently, it's only available through the API. You can, by creating or modifying a certificate order, you can tell the system to use DNS or HTTP validation. Good thing of it is it's nearly instant. You have control of your own DNS, of your own web host, web root, so you can prepare, order a certificate, and it's done. A small screenshot of how it looks like. A DNS record, a CNAME record, it's a combination of 2 hashes of the CSR, and that's technical stuff. It means just a unique code not really unique, but unique enough to do the validation in the name and the content section of the CNAME record. If you want to do it by a file, then put the file with the same widget codes, and the CA, Commode, or Semantic, or whatever will read it and consider the certificate as verified, validated, and issued. Good thing about this is that it is open for volumes. If you don't have to rely on email delivery, on questions of customers, you can completely automate the full process of delivering SSL. And as we are nearing a 100% encryption on the internet, because more and more browsers will stop accepting or at least show big warnings on unencrypted websites, it might be a very beneficial use case for you to see if you can convert all your web hosting customers into web hosting plus SSL. We've created the white paper for that. Find it in our knowledge base or find it in one of our previous webinars. Another thing many customers appear not to know is that every single SSL certificate can be used 30 days for free. If you revoke it, if you cancel it within those 30-day periods, you will get a full refund of the amount you paid. Could be perfect for tasting SSL. If you don't know if it will work out like you expect it to do, just try. It's free. And that counts for DV, that counts for OV, that counts for EV. You can fix erroneous orders. If you order it for a Windows instead of a Linux order, if you ordered a DV instead of an OV for your customer, you can cancel the one that you ordered incorrectly and order the new one. If you have an EV and you discover too late that you need to renew and it's expired, don't go unsecured. Order Quick DV, install it while you are waiting for the EV to be issued. And once the EV has been issued, install that one and revoke the DV one again. And of course, get your customers known to SSL. Tell them what it is. Let them experience what SSL is and how it affects their ranking, for example, in Google. Although maybe that's not directly possible within that 30-day period. Then I would like to continue with the account management. And an often heard question, maybe even complaint, is that we send a lot of renewal reminders. When we started Openprovider, our customers were small, and with just a few domains, it's very useful if you get by the end of the year an email, be careful, your domains need to be renewed, take care of sufficient balance. But if you manage more domains, then it might turn out that you get such an email every day, and you will not pay any attention anymore to it. And that's a danger, because domains can expire, SSL can expire, you can run out of balance. So we have already many years ago implemented a feature. If you have auto-renew set to on, then you can exactly define on which days and which frequency, once a week, once every 2 weeks, you want to receive those emails. In this example, this account is set up to receive early on the even one, not every week, but every 2 weeks on a Wednesday, an email. That means you see the email and it really grabs your attention. Okay, it's 2 weeks again. Let me check if all my domains are still correctly set for auto-renewal on or off. Let me see if SSL is going to expire. Those kind of things. And you can be as flexible as you want. If you want to have a weekly on the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just configure it, and we will follow it up from the moment of setting it up. If you create an account at Openprovider, you will automatically be assigned an administrative contact. That contact receives our newsletters, all things that you need to know about Openprovider. If that's the only contact, it will receive all email we send. But you can configure many more contacts. You can configure billing and technical contacts as well. The administrative contact can be only one, billing contact as well, and the billing contact receives all financial-oriented emails, like invoices, payments, no balance reminders, those kind of things. The technical contact can be an unlimited number. For example, you can provide a technical contact for any of your employees. You can create a different technical contact for API usage, and I will come back on that later. The technical contact receives notifications about changes, for example, an outgoing transfer, a succeeded create of a domain name, an issued certificate. You can find them all in going to the account overview. On the right side, you see contact persons. Click the view button, and you can add, modify, delete the contacts. Every contact has its own username and password. And you may want to change that, either for yourself or for one of your employees. Same story, go a very small image I see, go to the contact overview, click a contact, change its password, and save, and that's all. Users can also reset their own password by using their username and the registered email address. We'll send a new password to them. Can be done through the login screen. There's a small button, lost your password, and that will lead you to the password forgotten page. Another field that sometimes need to change is the company name. In our industry, the market is volatile. A lot of things are changing, merging companies, changing names, and of course you want that we address you on the right company name. Simply do it in the account management, click the view button, and you can enter a new company name. And that's also the place where you can change your address, telephone number, everything that we need to know from you. It's not public data, so that's good to know. It's data that we use to contact you in case of issues or by emailing, those kind of things. Talking about user accounts, we already said, user account, yeah, it's very, very basic security. Username, password is maybe the oldest way of securing an account. Nowadays, domains are becoming so important that it might not be sufficient anymore. So the first thing you can also do is, like said in the previous sheet, create different user accounts. If you have 10 people on your support department and they all use the same password, then if somebody is leaving, it's a risk. You need to update all people, you need to update password, everything. If everybody has its own user account, just remove one of them. Also for API usage is useful. Create a different API user. Only that user can connect to the API and cannot log in to the control panel, for example. You can do that by IP whitelisting, IP blacklisting. If you have an API user and you know it runs from server with IP address 123, only accept connections from that IP address. So that user cannot be used from any other IP address. Same story for password hashes. If you use an API connection, you don't want to store the password plain text or in another way in your system. Use a hash. You can't use it to log into the control panel, so it's also an additional level of security. And finally, for all users, you can enable two-factor authentication. Maybe you use it for other applications as well. It means not only username and password are required, but an additional code that changes over time. You can have an app on your telephone for that, or your PC or whatever. It's again an additional layer of security. I would like to refer you to our blog post that we wrote a couple of months ago. There you can find more explanation about all these ways of securing your account. An additional part of account management is the financial part. And I think that is, for many people, a very important thing. So I've gathered a couple of tips and tricks about that as well. And let me start with the VAT rules. For our Dutch customers, it's simple. They will always pay 21% VAT. For people outside the European Union, it's also simple. They never pay VAT. But inside the EU, there is a difference. If you are inside the EU but outside the Netherlands, then it depends on whether or not you have a valid VAT number. If you do have, no VAT is calculated. If you don't have, we must charge VAT. Most people have set it up correctly, but are you EU-based? Do you have a valid VAT number, but are you still paying VAT in Openprovider? Then check if your VAT number is present with us. Find it in the same place we showed a few screens ago, back, account overview. There you see a VAT number. If it is not there, update it, and from the next invoice on, you won't be charged VAT. And a question that we often get is, can we revert previous invoice? No, we don't do that. Reserved transactions also sometimes leads to questions. An easy example is a real-time registration. That means you order a .nl or a .com domain, the money is deducted from your balance, and once every month on the first day of the next month, it is added to the invoice. But there are many transactions that are not real-time. An SSL certificate, a .com transfer, a .sr registration. There are many. We still deduct the amount from your balance directly. But we can't invoice it yet. An invoice is only created on succeeded, on finished transactions. So we are waiting for the result of the registry. If it fails, we credit it to your balance again. So if you paid $10, you get it back again at the moment we get a failure. If it succeeds, then we say, okay, now the transaction has been finished. Let's add it to the invoice. And a cloud structure, we're waiting for the result. That is what we call a reserved balance. And I now think I could have added a screenshot for that. If you go to the account financials, you can see the amount of reserved balance that we have for your account. If you have just one .com transfer, it could be as low as $10. If you have 100 .com transfers, it might be $1,000. You can't use that money for new orders, but know that it will only be invoiced at the moment it succeeds. If such a transfer fails, you will get it on your account again. Balance management. We, as a wholesale registrar, know exactly how important this is, especially since 2-3 years ago when we started all the new GTLDs. We currently manage balances for 50, 60, 70 different registries. They all need to be sufficient for our expected orders in the next X days. So this is really important if you use with it, if you use domain names, because insufficient balance can lead to loss of domain names or other products. And you don't want to do that because it costs you a lot of time, frustration, everything. So we have a couple of ways to keep track of your balance. A very simple one is the renewal reminder emails that you receive every day, every week, whatever you configured. There we quote the available balance. You can also configure low balance reminders, as many as you want. For example, in this example, if your account drops below 1,000 euros, we get an email, this account gets an email, think about doing a payment. If it drops if it drops below 250, another email is sent. And so you can create as many low balance reminders as you want. If you increase your balance again, it will start from top down again. And I see a typo here. We have a costs and payment forecast. And I think many people have never seen that. Find it in the financial section of your account menu. It allows you to see for the next 12 months what we expect you to have on renewals or your existing orders. It's domains, certificates, licenses, spam experts. Everything together. It goes from this month to 12 months from now. It sums up to a total amount, and it also shows it in a clear graph. So you know exactly this customer, for example, already knows now in October he can expect around 17,000 euro or dollar, I don't know, to be spent. This might give you great insight in your cash flow. If you registered for one customer in November 1,000 domains, and that customer is 90% of your domain portfolio, you will see a huge spike in November. You know on beforehand that that is the moment you need to take additional care of the balance. And like we do for our registries, we built a monitoring tool. Every day we check all our balances and we compare it to the expected number of renewals, orders, everything. You can build such a flexible system as well, but you have to do it yourself. Use our API and retrieve reseller request. You can get your account balance and use it any way you want. Then a tip that might be useful for a small selection of our customers is the custom invoice information fields. We know a lot of big companies, for example, require a purchase order to be on the invoice before they are able to process it. You can add it as an internal reference, like this example. Especially for our Spanish customers, we have added a field for the NIF number, which is required for the Spanish taxes. So fill in what you want and it will appear on your invoice. Maybe a stupid question, where to find my pricing? I think we have around 2,000 extensions, tens or dozens of SSL, hundreds of licenses. That makes the pricing structure pretty complex. Focusing on domains, you can always find all your pricing in the prices page of your account. But to get full insight in every price for every operation, just click on an extension, click on a product. For example, .com would be for that customer in his regular tier 866, but because he's a Supreme member, it's 806. Every transaction can be seen here. A trade is free of charge, for example. Also restore fees, find whatever you want. If you are a member, domain UG to lead Supreme, whatever, you can easily find all pricing at a glance at the membership section in the control panel and the cost price menu there. For every TLD, you will find the registration price, the renewal, and the transfer price. And as you see, every price is automatically converted to your own account currency. And if you want to do it automatically, you can also use the search functions of our API and find all prices so that you're always up to date in the price setup in your account. I already talked a lot about the API, but I still think it's useful to address a little bit from a more basic level. A question that we often get is, what can I do with your API? An API, by the way, is an automated interface to Openprovider, if you didn't understand it yet from my previous slides. It means that you don't have to use our control panel to order domains or change things, but you can do it in some automated way. So what can you do with it? And I think the only correct and the most clear answer is that our full control panel is built upon our API. Everything that is in our control panel uses our API. So in theory, you can build the Openprovider control panel with all its features using API calls. So the short answer is everything. You can do everything. Documentation on it is on our documentation site, doc.openprovider.eu. There's also a quick start guide. Allow me to paste a little screenshot of a piece of code. These few lines of code, which you can also find in the documentation, allow you to create a domain checker on your website. The input is a domain name, the output is whether or not the domain is available for registration. This one is written in PHP. We have a couple of other languages available as well, not from our documentation site, but if you search on GitHub, you will see quite a lot of customers that implemented and published their own integrations with Openprovider. On a higher level, plugins. Many of you probably will use a software package for your hosting. like Ouch Parallels is still very old. That needs to be replaced. It was Odin and now it's Plesk on its own. But we have Atomia, we have WHMCS, Hostbill. Since recent we have PowerPanel. Those all are software packages that can be used to manage your Openprovider account in your hosting business. Those applications take care of the billing, of everything on the administrative level. The mail registration and the technical level is done through a plugin to Openprovider. So when you are using those applications, you don't have to log in ever to Openprovider. If you don't use it yet, but you are interested, take a look at our website. There is an overview of which plugins we do, and this is not a full list. For example, we also have a plugin for OSA, the Odin Standard Automation, I think it's called, and a couple of others are available as well. Then the last slide is about how to get in touch with Openprovider, how to get information from us. And I think you are all doing a great job by attending this webinar, or people that are viewing it later by viewing this webinar. But you can get a knowledge and getting updates many different ways. All technical information is in our knowledge base or in our API documentation. If registries or Openprovider itself has some maintenance or disruption, keep up to date with our OT notifications Twitter channel. News and updates. We have a newsletter that we send out monthly with a news feed on the website. We use Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn on social media. Subscribe to it, and you will be the first one that receives the latest updates. Background information, so not directly the simple things like we have added .co to our memberships, but more the in-depth details to understand the market, to understand our industry, can be found in our blogs and our webinars, either live or through our YouTube channel. If you still can't find what you want to know, be sure to contact the right people. Any commercial questions can be asked to our sales department on these number and email addresses. Spain and our Russian office, they have their own numbers, telephone numbers. So search their websites for their respective number. Technical questions can be asked to our support department. Same story on the telephone number. We have local support as well. Okay, then a very recent thing that we have added to our system. I'm pretty sure everybody that has logged into our control panel in the last week or 2 weeks probably has noticed it. We have a small feedback tool. It allows you to give feedback on our system. Things that the goal is that we get input on things that we would normally not see and people normally don't spend time on mentioning. For example, bad translation or a button that has the wrong color. Those stupid tiny things which, if we fix them, makes our system better and better every time. Use that tool. We really appreciate all kinds of feedback. What we didn't expect, but we do see, is that people are asking support questions through that tool. And we love it, to be honest. Continue doing so. Because you can tell us that you get an error on a certain domain registration, but if you use the tool to create a screenshot of the order, we have all information directly at hand. And we can answer a question faster and without having to ask for more information. So please continue doing so, and I think we'll both benefit from it, both you and we. This is how it works. The small feedback button. Type in what you found on an issue, just a normal question. Type in your email address, and you can add some comments. I appreciate if you do so, because just a single line in the subject might be a little bit short to understand. You will understand, but do we so as well? I don't know. And then you can highlight sections. You can pinpoint sections of the screen. So here, you see that the order of the address is a bit weird. So you highlight it. You can make a circle around it. You can put arrows. Whatever you can make a nice drawing with it, whatever you want. It all helps us in exactly quickly understanding what you mean. Submit it, and we will return on you with an answer or an update. And I think this word finished by Usersnet also is the end of this presentation, of this webinar. Then I would like to thank you for attending this webinar. I hope that all of you got at least a few ideas that you are going to use in your own business. And I'm aware that this might be really an overload of information in a very short time span. I think we had 35 slides in slightly more than 50 minutes. Know that all those tips are available, including explanation, in our blog posts. We have published 2 of them. The third one will follow this or next month. This webinar itself can be reviewed again from our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe yourself to the channel so that you get an update every time a webinar is added. And yeah, I think that's it.